Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial, you will learn how to build a tic-tac-toe game just using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So this is the quick demo. Let me show you guys. So first of all is the X turns, and now it's O, X, and O, X, O, and X. What you can see that X is wins. And here is also a restart button to restart the whole game. And now go for X, O, X, O, X, and O. Now O is the wins. So now let's go ahead to make it draw. So restart it again. So X, O, X, and O over here, and X, O, X, O, and X. So what you can see that the game is draw. And now let's go ahead to build this tic-tac-toe game. Alright, so to get started, create a class name of wrapper. So we have a heading 1 as the title. So I'm giving a class name as title. So tic tac toe. So let me just grab this tic tac toe game and paste it for this title. Right, so next is the div of the class name of container. So inside our container, we have the div elements. So I'm gonna times with 9 times. So what we can do that is inside our div, we can giving a class name of cells. So we can grab this class name cells and paste it over here. Alright, then next we can create a data cells index of, so this is the attribute, so that in JavaScript we can direct grab through this index. This is what I want. So let me just paste it, just paste it over here. So it should be 8 line. So what we can do that is this index can change to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, I missed one line. So grab through here and paste it for X. So we're done for the cell, okay, which is the tic tac, the cells. And next we can create another heading 2. Just giving a class name of status so that we can grab through the class name from our JavaScript. So another ID, status, and I'm gonna leaving empty strings. And we have another button, class name of restart, and I'm giving a button name which is called restart, just like this. Alright, so what we can see that this is for the HTML content. So now we can move on to the CSS part. Alright, so to get through the body tag, I'm gonna set the font family to Arial. Also the background color, I'm using linear gradient to right hand side, and hashtag FEAC5E, and the second color is hashtag C779D0, and the last color is hashtag 4BC0C. So all this color code, I'll just grab it from online so that it looks better. Okay, so next is the wrapper, which is this class name of wrapper. So we can using display green, right, and place items to center, text align, center it. So next is the title, which is the tic tac toe title heading 2. So I'm gonna set the font size to 17 pixels. gonna set some of the margin. So for the top 14 pixels, left hand side, I'm gonna set the auto, bottom 30 pixels, and this auto is for the right hand side, and lastly is the left hand side, also set it as auto. And next is the color. So you can see that the title is changed to color white. So we have another container, which is the class name, the div element of the container. So we can also display grid, and what we can do is grid template columns, and we can repeat for 3 times and set as auto. Right, you are not able to see that in a minute. After that, you will see a second the template of these cells. All right, so I'm gonna set the color to white, and let's go ahead to style for the cells first. So what we can do is we can set the width to 115 pixels. I'm gonna set the background color to black. I'm just set the width and the height 150 pixels. So what we can see that we have a black cells over here. So if I just giving a border, so what you can see that is border solid hashtag. So here's the color code. So what you can see that we got a grid with 3 of the columns. So that's pretty much what I want. So we can set as the cursor pointer. So whatever your mouse is hover, it should be at the pointer. So we can set the line height to 115 pixels and font size to 100 pixels. For the font family, I'm gonna using sans serif, and font wine set as bold. Right, so let's go back to this container. I'm gonna set some of the back box shadow. Right, so just using RGBA. So for the red color, I'm gonna go for 0, and green is 0, blue 0, and for the alpha we can go for 0.3. So next is the pixels. So we can go for 0 pixels, 90 pixels, 38 pixels with a comma, RGBA. So instead of 0.3, we can go for 22, 0 pixels, 15 pixels, and 12 pixels. There we go. But you can see that we have a box shadow over here. Alright, so next let's go ahead. So we can do that for the cells. We can also set some of the just a simple box shadow. So 0 pixels, 18 pixels, 38 pixels. Right, so there we go. So we've done for the width, height, and right, that's pretty much what I want. So next is to set the status. Right, so this status we will grab the text from JavaScript in a minute. So we can see that the status is now empty. So I'm gonna set the font size to 70 pixels, color white. So margin is 14 pixels, auto, 20 pixels, and auto. And lastly, which is the restart button. So which is this restart button. And I'm gonna give it some of the padding. So 10 pixels, the font size 45 pixels, and color white, background none, and border none, and last is the cursor pointer. So whatever my mouse is hover it, and it show a pointer. So that is pretty much how the HTML CSS works. So now we can move on to the JavaScript part. Right, so to get started with the JavaScript part, we will create some of the variable first. Okay, so first we can create a game active and we can set it as true. Next, we can set the current player is X, okay, the uppercase X. So every time we have to start from the X player. Okay, next is the let game state, and we can create the empty array as the string. So let me just copy this and paste it for 8 times, so for 9 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what we can do is we can paste it for 9 times. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, so next is we can create a const keyword as winning conditions object and with the array. So here is the conditions to check whether the line is it depends whether the array size. Okay, so 0, 1, which is the first cells, and 1 is this cells, 2 is this cells. If it's matched, and it's considered a winner. So what we can do is I'm gonna grab through this and paste it. So this one should be 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 0, 3, 6, 1, 4, 7, 2, 5, 8, 0, 4, 8, and lastly is 2, 4, 6. So what we can do that is 0, 1, 2 should be the first row, 3, 4, 5. So 3, 4, and 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8. Okay, so 0, 3, 6, which is 0, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, and 8. Alright, so 0 is starting from 0, and 3, 1, 2, 3, 6. Alright, 1, 4, 7, 2, 5, 8. Okay, so this is the winning conditions. Okay, so next is the cons of status display and document get element by ID. So what we can do is we can grab through the ID of status from here and just pass by the status display with a const keyword. Okay, next we can create the sum of the const keyword, just pass by the functions so that it's convenient. Just return text whatever I want to return. This text I'll just calling this const keyword. That is super convenient. So what we can do that is we can pass by the current player with a dot as wins. Okay, so whatever the winner is wins, I'll just call this variable name so that it's gonna pass by depends on which user the current player is wins. And next is the const keyword with a draw message, also a functions with a return some of the text. So this is draw. And last is the const current player turn. So this will return as what is the current player turns. So first is X, second O, third X, and so on and so on. So return it's and get a plus and access through the current player as turn. Okay, so there you go. So next we can just using document get element by ID. Sorry, instead of get element by ID, can using query selected all, select all cells, which is this all cells. Okay, select all and can just using the for each functions and we can pass by the parameter as cells over here. So these cells I'm gonna add event listener with a click event, and whatever depends on which cells is being clicked, so that we can calling a cells as the function. Okay, so next document query selector. So what we can do is we can select the restart button, so which is this restart as the class name, and just giving add event listener, click restart game. So all of this is the function names, but we haven't created the function yet. Okay, so what we can do is we can go ahead to create this cells click. So function cells click, and whatever the cells being clicked, so we can just pass by the parameter. So just giving a parameter name clicked cells event. So const and click on cells, click on event, target. So what we can check over here, so what this does is wherever the first cell, this is being clicked and it's been calling this function name passed by the parameter as the target. So if this is clicked and should be passed by div element, and it's gonna be returned storing to this const click cells. All right, next is the click cells index. So what we can do over here is we have to grab through the index of the number. So we can just using the passing functions, we just convert the strings into a number, click cells and get attribute. Get attribute. So we can just grab through this attribute, right? So I'm going to check for the spelling. Yes, it's right. So what that it does, so wherever this is being clicked, okay, let's say this the first, okay, this one cell is being clicked, so this is going to be returned, and to grab this value 1 and just convert the strings into a number and storing inside this index, right? If the game of the state, so what we can do is we can pass by the click cells index to check. If it's not equals to this, yeah, obviously this false, yes, it's equals to this, right? So this, oh, sorry, so I'm gonna delete this comma. Okay, so this game state over here, if it's not equals to this, is false, yes, it's absolute equals to this, or if it's not game, game active. So if it's not game active, which is I'm gonna set as true, right? So this will be false, and it's gonna be returned. Else it's not equals to this, so this will not be running. So what we can do is we can just call our functions, but we haven't created this function yet. So what we're gonna do is we can pass by click cells and the index, and also a result. the result validation we have to create in a minute, which is the functions. So now we can go ahead to create these sales players, and we can just direct copy this parameter and paste it over here. So what we can do is the game status of click sales index, I'm gonna pass through the current player, and for the click sales in a HTML, I also like to pass through the current player so that the first current player is X and X, X, X. So what does it does? And we haven't set, but you can see that the current player now is X. If I just modify this to O, so you can see that's O. That is because we haven't using the if else statement to check. Okay, so now we can just using the if else statement to check. So the status display, I'm just giving a inner.html and pass by the current player turn. So this will display the status, right? So I'm gonna refresh this. So I'm gonna check the status display, get element by ID, right? So let me just create another function. Player change. So if your current player is equals to X, yes, is equals to X. So what we can do is we have to set as O. Else the current player is set back to X, just like this. And the status display, we have to call it current player turns. There we go. So X, this one should be returned. So alright, yes, we have to call it the player change over here. Alright, so next is the functions result validations. So this result validations we have to call over here. So I'm gonna paste it up over here whenever this cell is clicked. Alright, so next is to set the round one. Just set it to false first. And we have a loop functions, okay, a loop statement starting from I, and it's gonna be loop for less than or equals to 7 and I++. So comes with a win conditions, and the winning conditions we can just call through this object and just access every single of this array. Okay, and then what we can do is we can create A and just calling the game status. You have to remember this game status is this array, and we have to check whether it should be replaced with. Okay, so game states and win conditions and pass by 0. And let me just grab through this and paste it for 2 times. So instead of A, we can change to C. So this one we can change to 1 to 2. So what we can check from the winner is if the A is equals to empty or the B is equals to empty, which means it's not the user didn't click, okay, didn't click this, and this cells didn't recognize the X or O, which is empty, okay, or C is equals to empty, just collect or continue. And if the A is equals to B and B is equals to C, we can just set the raw one to true. Previously is false, and we can set to true to check, and just giving a break. So what we can do that is if the raw one is true and the status display in HTML, so what we can call is we can just direct call through the winner message, which is this const keyword. Okay, and we can set the game active to false because the game is okay. We have a final result, which is the winner is win. So I'm gonna set through the game active to false, and with a return. So if it's draw, so let keyword as draw, because if it's not, okay, the game state is not include the empty strings. So what we can do is if the raw row status display in HTML also pass by the draw message. So if it's draw also includes this, so what we can do is we can return the message as the draw. Also set the game active to false and with a return. Okay, so lastly is the to call the player change. So now let's go ahead to try this. Right, so what you can see that is X and it's O. X, now it's O turns. So now it's X, now it's O, and now it's X. So what you can see that the X is win. But therefore the restart button is haven't validation yet. So what we can do is we can just create a function name as the restart game. So we can just grab through this, paste it over here. So if the game is restart, what we can do is pretty much simple, is to grab through this, just copy, grab here and paste it over here, so that the game active is restart to true and the current player is restart to X. Game status is remain as the double quote, and status display of inner HTML, what we can do is just call it the current player turn, which is the X turn, and document query selector all of the cells, which is the nine different cells, and each of the cells functions cells and cells in HTML, just set it as empty. So now let's go ahead to try. So now it's O turns, now it's X, O, now it's X, now it's O. So O is win, so we can restart the game. And now it's O turns. Sorry if I just refresh this. Okay, now it's X turns. So X, O, and X, O, and X. Now what you can see that the X is win. So that's it for this tutorial and how you can build this Tic Tac Toe game just using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So thanks for watching this, and I see you guys in the next JavaScript project.